What are some of the worst parenting mistakes your well-meaning parents made while raising you? Getting mad at me for saying bad words. Getting mad at me for swearing I can understand, but my dad once flipped out on me because he thought I said penis. I said pianist, but even if I had said penis, getting angry with a child for using the correct anatomical term for the male reproductive organ is fucking ridiculous. My parents made a lot of mistakes, but I think the one that really fits here is praising me for being really smart. As long as I could show that I was smart, I got praised. Working hard didn't matter. Barely working at all didn't matter. Once I got older and actually started to struggle with a few things, it was like someone took a hammer to a bottle inside me labeled self-worth. My identity was based around being smart and just instantly understanding everything. When that went wrong, I struggled. Working to understand something was an entirely foreign concept to me and just wasn't something I found myself capable of doing. If I couldn't instantly get or do something, I dropped it. I also felt like I learned it was easier to just not try because trying and failing hurt a lot while not trying and failing didn't. I also managed to succeed in most things with barely any effort. I dunno. It's stupid and hard to explain. Sorry. I think you explained it pretty well, and I can absolutely identify with you here too. My dad only gave a crap when I excelled. I had to be top for him to notice or care. Didn't matter what in, grades, sports, music, drama, anything and everything. I'd only get a reaction if I was the best. My mum was awesome at balancing all of that out, making it plain that she loved me no matter what, and all she wanted was for me to try my best and be happy. Worked fairly okay until she died, but when I lost that unconditional positive reinforcement, my father's attitude really fucked me up. I've grown very distant from him and the relationship is very toxic because he is still like that to this day, and even in my late 30s he has the ability to absolutely destroy my mental health in just a couple of sentences, and frequently does. Fortunately I have an awesome aunt and uncle who are much more accepting and supportive, and who remind me that I'm loved no matter what, but I'm not sure I'm ever going to fully recover from the repeated rejections by my own father. My dad had an incredibly hard childhood, but he is one of the few who broke the cycle. He went the exact opposite way and has a hard time doling out any sort of discipline whatsoever. I was spanked occasionally as a kid, but it was in a completely different ballpark from the severe physical abuse he went through. I think he is still not completely over what happened to him despite the fact that he's approaching 70. He wasn't the best dad, very distant, non-expressive, and took a very inactive role in my life, and I think the abuse, both physical and psychological, is the cause. But I have to give him some serious credit for breaking that cycle of abuse, which is extremely difficult to do. Holy f*** was I sheltered. I was super sheltered to the point where when I got to the real world, I had no idea what to do. Hell, I'm 28 and still don't know anything. I never got to hang with friends, thus affecting my social skills. My mom would constantly degrade me if I couldn't figure out a problem even she couldn't do. For example, one of her favorite insults was, "Come on Chad, we're not reinventing the wheel." And yes, I am a Chad, I might as well say. Everything that we would do always had to revolve around what my mom liked. It makes me feel like my hobbies are shit and aren't worth the light of day. She constantly interrupts me when speaking just to talk to someone else, which makes my words feel like they're worthless, like something that holds no value. It's made me feel empty, and to be honest, I hate talking about my feelings because I feel like I don't know how to describe them without sounding like an emo 16-year-old. The clean plate rule and super strict diet. Now finish everything on my plate with compulsive relentlessness and have a really hard time moderating snacks. A neighbor once felt so sorry for me that she gave me a small bag of chips for my birthday. I hid under my bed and ate them. This does not lead to a healthy relationship with food. Telling me I was a good writer, then when I asked her to read things I wrote, being told that his plot hole's big enough to sail an aircraft carrier through. No further detail, no help, no identification of what exactly the hole was. 5th grade writing contest. I had been writing ongoing stories in a world I had created. Was gonna write up a new bit or recycle an old one in that world. Mom decided she'd write her own story in my world with my characters and make me turn that in. I didn't make it past the first round. Gave her a story I wrote later on for her to look over. She gave it back, having rewritten it. All my complex sentences were reduced to subject-verb-object. The flow was gone, the tone was gone, just choppy words left. I hate everything I write now, but everybody tells me to keep doing it because I'm good at it. Constantly upping the bar. If I made B's, then A's became the minimum. I watched my siblings once, oh then I got to watch them every week. Nothing was ever good enough. I work out, oh well, you're doing it wrong. I hated running. I try to pray and be active in my faith. I'm too into it. Really wasn't, they just didn't like anything that told them no. All of this was to supposedly push me to achieve more and be stronger, and instead I just gave up on trying, because what's the point if getting B's, which was really hard with my ad, wasn't good enough? Why bother trying for A's? From what I gather, since she's never been straight about it, my mother had some bad encounters with men when she was young in settings where she was supposed to have been safe. As a result, she drummed it into our heads that basically no man could be trusted except our father, and that all males were potential rapists. That's been fun. I had no male friends growing up, and time spent at friends' houses who had brothers was strictly limited. To this day, I can't really relax around men, and am actively trying to train myself to trust/like/be friends with men and not constantly think, but he might rape me. With literally every man. How I got married is a miracle I have yet to explain given these feelings I had. They were pushing me to be perfect. By perfection they meant the girl that never raises her voice, always does as she is told to, is everyone's pushover. Has the best grades at school but never gets higher education or a job and goes straight to becoming a stay-at-home mom, is smart but not feminist. Doesn't wear makeup, doesn't go out with friends, only women that don't care about their family do these. Spends all her life with her family as close as possible. Has social skills but only limited to relatives. My parents ignoring my eating disorder for a long time when I was young. I found out years later that they did know about it, but were unsure of what to do and embarrassed to bring it up. I just assumed they had no idea. I was pretty young and very, very sick, plus definitely needed some intervention. I think they wanted to help but avoided it because it was a confusing subject. They are very closed-minded about certain topics, e.g., suicide, mental health in teenagers, LGBTQ+ stuff, etc. They are otherwise awesome parents, but it makes it difficult to talk about certain things like my personal issues. My younger brother is bisexual. The only adult that knows is me because my sisters would blab about it or be against it, and we don't know my parents' reaction, especially since bro is kinda young. Making you think showing a little bit of belly skin makes you slutty. Not complimenting you in any ways. Not taking interest in your child's interest. Not acknowledging your child's basic freedom to decision. Sometimes a kid just needs to be upset and have a parent listen and sympathize/empathize instead of approaching feeling negative emotions like a problem that needs to be fixed. My brother and I were never allowed to be upset or angry or sad without being just hounded to death about needing to just let things go and think positively. Overprotecting me. I had cancer twice before I was 5 years old, and so my parents really shielded my life. A kid's birthday party? My mom would be there too. Playing out until late? Nope, not allowed. Even when I was older there was no going to nightclubs. I had to be in by 10 p.m. and had to argue my way to let my boyfriend, now husband, stay the night. As a result, I'm rubbish at socializing, struggle to make my own decisions as someone was always there with an answer for me and didn't know anything about running a house as it was all done for me, not my choice. When I came to move in with my boyfriend they were all, "Do you not like us anymore? What have we done to deserve this?" My guy had to show me everything, washing machines, bills, cooking. Everything I know is because of him. They continued to message, email and phone several times a day until I asked for space and to be allowed to live my life. We have a better relationship now and I have my own little girl, so I do understand to some extent. But I know I'd want her to be supported and loved hard but allowed to scrape her knees and be included in everything. My job as a parent is to make her feel confident about herself and teach her everything I know to help her become a well-rounded and independent individual. Not everyone is going to agree with this, but spanking me. I'd get spanked with just about anything aside from a belt, and if I was crying, from being spanked to the point of nearly forming welts, my father would ask me if I needed a reason to cry. Like, what the fuck? I'm crying because you nearly beat my bottom raw. By only applying tough love, which by my mother's definition, belittling my siblings and I thinking if she told us we were worthless and couldn't amount to shit, that we would suddenly have a fire within and work hard to prove her wrong. She just thought because that's how she's motivated, because she's a very competitive person, that we would take it the same too. This applies to more than just academic or career type criticizing. She also applied it to personal things like our appearances. Now all three of us just struggle with depression and anxiety, and I have a hard time accepting any praise and have to learn to even be affectionate because my mother never showed or really gave any in my life. Not vaccinating me and my little sister. My mother is a very loving mother who actually did a decent job raising us, But she genuinely believed that vaccines could be dangerous. I'm just thankful she was a hipster in this aspect. Both me and my sister have been able to get our vaccinations on our own before the horde of anti-vaxxers really ruined herd immunity.